Today, at the National Zoo in Washington, a sad event occurred, as a baby panda born about a week ago has passed away. Here is the press conference, letting the public know what information they have available to share so far.
Smithsonian National Zoo community, our staff, our volunteers, the people all over Washington and all over the nation that were following the wonderful announcement of the birth of this cub just 6 days ago. To recap, at about 9 a.m. today, a little bit before 9 a.m., we heard the last vocalization from the cub. At 9:17, both keepers and volunteers monitoring the Panda Cam detected a distress call from the mother, Mei Xiang, and keepers immediately implemented emergency protocols. Following that emergency protocols, the team was assembled and the cub was retrieved at about 10:15, 10:20. Attempts at CPR and other life-saving measures were undertaken, and as I said, the cub was pronounced dead at 10:28. Dr. Murray can speak in a minute about observations, but I would like to say that this is a devastating loss for our staff. This staff here at the zoo, I have every confidence in them. They are the most professional team I've ever worked with. The keepers, the veterinarians, the volunteers were watching this cub and this birth with great joy, but with great passion, and the loss is no other word for it. It's just devastating for us at this time. Let me introduce Dr. Murray, our chief veterinarian.
Hi everybody, thank you very much for your caring, interest, and support. As Director Kelly mentioned, it's a very devastating time for us. We're all very anxious to know what happened, and we won't know that for a little while yet. We'll share that news as soon as we have it. Would like to note, though, that when we were able to get our hands on the cub looked just fabulous. There were no external signs of trauma, no signs of clinical illness or disease, nor had we seen anything that would, in the past few days or the past 24 hours. If you have any questions, we'd be happy to take them.
Were you able to determine the gender of the cub when you got a look at it?
It's too early for us to determine the gender externally, but during the necropsy procedures and the following workup, we'll be able to determine that.
And what's the mother doing?
Right now, Mei Xiang's doing fine. We were just checking on her just a few minutes ago. She is resting comfortably and she's begun to eat a little bit. So right now, Mei Xiang's doing fine, but it's something that we'll be spending a lot of time. Obviously, our keepers, our curators, volunteers, everybody's watching her very closely.
What are the
Thank you for asking.
What are the possibilities? What can go wrong at this stage in the panda infancy?
There's really no difference between a panda and any other species. There's so many things that can go wrong in the first week of life. But I have to refrain from guessing. That's what we have our our pathology staff for. So hopefully we'll have some answers for you, at least a preliminary necropsy by tomorrow.
No one went in there, right, the whole time that the cub was alive. Is that the approach that has worked in the past with panda cubs, leaving the cub alone with the mother for this long?
Most species, it's even a little bit longer as well. The most important thing is to make sure we don't disrupt the bond between the mother and the cub. So yes, that's exactly what we did last time. And all indications, Mei Xiang's been just a fabulous mom. She's been taking very good care of that cub. So no one went in, and even at the first sign of distress, still, since she's a wild bear, no one would actually go in with her. A keeper was able to distract her, while another keeper was able to retrieve the cub with a procedure we had practiced ahead of time to sort of modified almost a lacrosse stick to help retrieve the cub. So no one has gone in with her. She's a wild bear.
Can you describe how large the cub was at this point?
Preliminary indication that she was about 100 grams, which is about normal, and again, she appeared to be normal when she was retrieved. When the cub was retrieved, again, we don't know the gender.
What is the status of the cub's mother? Is there any type of breeding process that's going to happen? Or?
We're watching her closely. This is the first time we've seen Mei Xiang lose a cub, so we have a very talented staff. They're very observant and they pick up on everything with her. So right now, that's what we're doing. We're giving the staff time to monitor her closely, and from their reports and from Dennis Kelly and I were just examining her as well. She seems to be very calm. That's all we can hope for.
Is there a period that you have to wait, or how long before she could be impregnated again?
Well, she only has the panda bears only have it one time a year when they're able to conceive. So the earliest would be next year.
You said you heard the cub at 9 o'clock. Is there anything different about the way the cub sounded?
This morning, as through the night, she was the cub was vocalizing, making normal vocalizations throughout the night. And I did not hear the last vocalization that the cub made, so I can't comment.
The logs indicate that the last vocalization was more of a grunt as opposed to a squeal, but it's too soon to say what that. We'll be going back over the tapes to see if there was any indication.
As far as the Meizhang's call of distress, how do you know that she's in distress? What does it sound like? Can you describe it at all?
The call, she actually got up and moved off of where she was holding the cub and made a honk. And other vocalizations, the keepers tell me, and the scientists tell me that a honk was an unusual vocalization for her to make. And we surmised that was a distress call.
Will there be another attempt at fertilization next year?
It's too soon to say. We and the keeper staff are focused on the.
But Dennis, just wait. We're going to just wait till this gets set up for 1 second.
Right now, we're only focused on the health of the of Meishang, the mother. We have 2,000 animals here. This is a very, very difficult time for staff and keepers and volunteers, and we're focused on making sure that all of our animals are well taken care of and that all our staff remain safe. I'm not even thinking about what the future of Meishang will be. I only want to think about her health and the health of the rest of the collection and keeping our staff safe.
Who did the CPR and how long do you perform that?
One of our staff veterinarians, Dr. Nancy Bodeker, was the one who performed the CPR. Really, it was just a few minutes. She was able to determine as soon as she held the cub that the cub wasn't breathing and there was no heartbeat. But still, just to be on the safe side, we performed CPR under 10 minutes. The other thing I'd have to say about the cub is that, as you all might imagine, the cub was just beautiful. It's a beautiful little body, beautiful face, with the markings just beginning to show around the eye. Couldn't have been more beautiful.
Have you had your conversation with your counterparts in China, and if so, how did that go?
We did contact our colleagues in China. Their first response was great sadness. They were they expressed a lot of sadness. They understand how difficult this is. We collaborated with them to determine what was the best course of action. They agreed that we should proceed quickly with pathology exams so we can learn as much as possible so we can continue the species. We'll be in close contact with them over the next several days to see if we can understand what's going on with this species. These bears are so critically endangered that every panda cub is important, and it's as devastating to our colleagues who are here at the insemination. While they have great confidence in them, we all want to learn as much as we can from every single event, including this very devastating event that we've just experienced.
What is the survival rate for panda cubs in captivity? Are there enough born that you can even calculate a number?
There is a statistic. It's improved over the last several years. I don't have it at hand. We can get the statistic, but because of the work of Chinese colleagues and great scientists and veterinarians like Dr. Murray and Dr. Kamazoli and others, the survival rate has been improving, but it's still a very, very difficult number, and we have no idea what the survival rate is in the wild.
Can you explain the CPR process on an animal this small? I mean, we think of what we see in life-saving things. Is there special equipment that's used with the techniques?
Yes, CPR in any animal is very different, and we have equipment and skill in helping to address medical concerns, from something as large as an elephant to something as small as a bird, which would be even smaller than a giant panda, even a cub. So we have small equipment so we can provide oxygen. Chest compressions would be a little bit different. Obviously, you have to gauge the pressure you use for the animal. So it's much smaller. You would use your fingers and provide oxygen through a different tube, and then a different set of emergency drugs provided with much smaller needles.
What efforts and will the zoo perform now to impregnate the mother again?
as I said before, we're not even thinking about that right now. We're thinking about the mother's health, the health of the entire collection. We want to determine what we can learn from this, and then we'll think about that in the days and weeks to come.
Were you guys able to determine the sex of the panda? Maybe you already covered that. And also, what time was the last one of the baby panda that you saw?
I didn't understand your second question.
You said you heard a last grunt from the panda. What time did that happen?
That was shortly before 9 o'clock, about
8:53.
8:53. Thank you, Pamela. As to the gender, you want to repeat,
Sure.
Dr. Murray?
Yeah, we do not yet know the gender of the panda. You're not able to determine it externally, but during the necropsy procedures, we will know that. We'll be able to elucidate that.
Exactly when is the necropsy starting, and how long should that take? And then what kind of burial procedures do you have?
Everything we do, all our procedures are in conjunction with our Chinese colleagues and agreements. So we're starting that today. We've already been setting up the necropsy, the gross necropsy. That means that will be conducted today by this evening. We'll have a preliminary report by tomorrow, and then we need to have histology and written reports that will be due within the next 2 weeks.
Because panda births are so difficult, is that why the naming of a panda cub doesn't take place for several months?
I'm not quite sure of why the Chinese tradition of 100 days came about, but so I won't speculate on that. The National Zoo is fortunate. It's been one of the leaders. We have 2 staff pathologists that are on grounds. A number of zoological institutions have pathologists, and they're, as Dr. Murray said, they're already at work. And as soon as we know something, we will alert you folks. And if we have any more information, Pamela tells me that we will call another a conference to discuss those results.
But to follow up, in keeping with Chinese tradition, what she was saying, there's this 100-day naming period. Is there any specific period following a death, anything that you all have to follow or planning here at the zoo following this loss?
The 100-day naming ceremony, as I understand, it's a tradition. I don't know the background of it. We are following the lead. We've been in contact with our Chinese colleagues. They are cooperating to learn as much as we can. So we'll be talking to them continuously, and when both of us know something, we will let everybody know what we've learned and see how we can apply that to survival of this very important species.
Will the exhibit be marked? Like, will visitors be able to know, looking at the exhibit, will it be marked? How long will the exhibit be closed?
We're going to keep the exhibit closed until we're confident that Mei Xiong is safe and healthy, and that and at that point in time we'll reopen the exhibit. I don't know when the exhibit will open up again.
Did you see a change in Mei Xiong's behavior after the cub died?
The keepers are focused on that. I'm going to let them focus on that. So far, the result I had just walking up here is that Mei Xiong seems to be resting comfortably.
How did you hear about this, Dennis, and what was your sort of feeling? I mean, it seemed like the cub was very healthy and was doing fine.
Mike, I got a call at about 10:20, and from the senior curator to tell me that emergency protocols have been enacted. And so, as you know, I live close by. I walked across the street and was monitoring on the cameras as the team was executing its emergency protocol. This is devastating. This is devastating for all of us here. It's hard to describe how much passion and energy and thought and care has gone into this. We've got a terrific team that has worked so hard. I'm so confident and so proud of the staff, the volunteers, the scientists, the work that our Chinese colleagues have put into this. So, Mike, it is devastating, and it's going to take us time. I've got my keepers. I'm worried about my keepers because they've got 2,000 animals to take care of, and they've got to remain safe, and that's what we're focused on right now.
Can you describe the size? I know you said 100 grams, but how big was it?
100 grams is about 4 ounces. It is about the size of a stick of butter. And Dr. Murray, you saw the cub. Again, that's an apt description.
Where was the emergency procedure trying to revive the cub done? In the den or outside? Or?
We had the emergency protocol. We practiced this for years, Mike, to be ready. And the cub was brought out of the den into an area that we had modified and prepared with incubators, and all the emergency equipment was standing by. It was actually back in the keeper work area. But that has been an emergency designated area for twins. Again, incubators were set up there. The veterinary staff responded immediately as we practiced, and it was good. I have time for one more question.
Will the cub be named posthumously?
No. Thank you very much.
Okay, so before everybody gets away, let's just go over what we have today. We're not going to be releasing any images of the panda cub. Tian Tian, the last I saw, he was actually inside and eating. So he's inside, he's not out in his yard. I'm sure if it's possible he may go into his yard. It's a beautiful day, but I can't promise that. The Panda House remains closed, so May is not going to be available for photos. And tomorrow morning, as usual, the keepers will let Tian Tian out in his yard. And depending on what we learn overnight, I will issue another quick bulletin to update you. And if we think that there's something really substantive and we'd like to share that with you, we'll call you back and we'll have another press conference in this location tomorrow. But that will be, has yet to be determined. Okay? Anybody? Mm-hmm. Yeah, Tian Tian. Tian, capital Tian. Okay, any other questions about logistics? Thank you all for coming, and thank you personally because we've been working hard together this past week, and I appreciate your kind sentiments to my team and the office and for the zoo. Thank you.